Welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be unboxing and reviewing this 5-inch figure of Thorn Rose from Sonic Prime. Okay, first let's start by taking a look at the box of this figure. Now on the very top of this box it does say Netflix, then it says Sonic Prime and accessory included. Now that accessory is a hammer, as you can see right next to her. On the bottom here it says Thorn Rose and then it says Boss Cage Maze, and it also says Jakks Pacific. On the very top of the back of the box it says Sonic Prime once again, and then it says Thorn Rose, Boss Cage Maze, and then 13 points of articulation. Then it gives you a description of the character and what Thorn Rose is like. On the bottom of the back of the box it does also show you some of the other figures that you can get, like Sonic, Tails 9, Mr. Dr. Eggman and Thorn Rose. And I do actually have the Mr. Dr. Eggman figure. So there is the Mr. Dr. Eggman figure, and I think he's pretty great. Over here is Shadow and the motorbike for the Sonic 3 movie. Now I did also do a review of this on my channel, so check that out because it would really help me. Now that we've had a look at the packaging, let's go ahead and open it up. Usually all the 5-inch figures are very easy to open it, but I did find that one of her hands just wouldn't come out of the packaging. The way that they positioned it, it made it very difficult for her to be taken out of the packaging. It was difficult to get her hand out, but in the end I did manage to take out of the packaging, and also her hammer. And here is our figure out of box. Now I think that this is one of my favourite figures for Sonic Prime. I think that I already just really like the character design for Thorn Rose, but I think especially for this figure it is very accurate to how she is in the show. And she does also have 13 points of articulation like it said on the back of the box, so her head, she can move that. On her shoulders they can move a bit, but I would say that it is a little bit difficult to move them around. They don't move up as much as the other characters, I think. But but here, this area, you can articulate it quite a bit. She can also do that, and the same for the other side. Then her legs do move. At the top, they do also move, and I think the legs are the easiest things to move on this figure. Then here, and you can also do that. Now this figure, on the bottom of the shoes, you can see that she has this detail, which is very good. I do think it's pretty good that they decided to put that, even though it's just on the bottom of the shoes. And she does also have, I don't know what they're called, but basically with these, if you have a Sonic the Hedgehog set, you can put her onto it. But she is also already able to stand up by herself. Here is her hammer. Now, if you notice that on the back of the box here, her hammer, and she does also look slightly different than the actual figure you get. In my opinion, this is more accurate to the show, the final figure design, and also for the hammer, in case you didn't notice that. So for this hammer, the differences are that the hammer, well, this part of the hammer, it's a different colour. The original colour was going to be more of a neon greenish colour, and then also the top here is different coloured, but in my opinion I do think that the change is better. Now let's check if she is able to hold her hammer. Now as you can see here, I did have a little bit of trouble trying to get her to hold the hammer. I think it was just the way that I was trying to make her hold it, but I do think it should have been a bit easier. It usually is pretty easy to put accessories into your figure's hands with these Jakks Pacific Sonic figures. But it's not impossible to make her hold it, like as you can see there, she can still hold her hammer. Another issue that I did also find with her hammer is that if you try to stand her up with the hammer, it sort of makes her lose her balance. She isn't able to stand very well, but you could do it with the things that are on the bottom of her shoes there, I think, but she still might be slightly slanted. But as you can see right now, it is still possible to make her stand up with her holding the hammer. Now that we've talked about that, let's talk about some other things to do with this figure. Let's start by talking about one of the most important things to someone that collects and wants Sonic figures. That is the accuracy. Now I do think that this figure is very accurate to how she looks in the show. There weren't any major things that I noticed that were off or different on this figure. Maybe some colours are slightly different, but I do still think that this figure is very accurate to how she is in the show. And her hammer does also look pretty good too. It does feel very sturdy when you hold it, and it doesn't feel like it will fall apart or anything like that. The quality of the Thorn Rose figure itself does also feel pretty good. Now let's talk about the posability of the figure. Now this figure can be put into poses like most other Jakks Pacific Sonic figures, but sometimes with certain figures for no reason, or maybe some figures making it a bit more difficult, the arms or one of the joints just won't move due to the character design or something like that. This could have just been my figure, but me personally, I did find that the joints for her shoulders were a little bit difficult to move around. And now let's talk about the paint on this figure. While I was looking at my figure, I did not really find any paint errors or anywhere where they messed up on the paint of this figure, which is pretty good. Because usually with these figures, even though they are very good, I do usually find something that maybe the paint is like slightly going over to another area or something. But for me, I didn't see any of this with this figure. And now let's talk about the final thing you have to talk about this figure, and that is this figure good? Well, the answer is yes, I do think this figure is good, but I feel like for Sonic fans who collect Sonic figures, it might just not be something that is necessary, because some Sonic fans just don't watch Sonic Prime, or maybe they just want to collect figures of just the mainline characters, not in a different outfit or from a series to do Sonic the Hedgehog. Maybe they just want normal Sonic, Tails, Amy, and so on. I have watched Sonic Prime and I do like it, so I do think that I like this figure. If you've made it this far, why don't you like and subscribe, because it would really help me out. Also, you can check out my last video that I did where I reviewed the set for the Sonic 3 movie which had Shadow and his motorbike. I did think that set was very cool, and if you want to see that set in more detail, you can check out the other video. I enjoyed making this video, and I do also hope that you enjoyed watching it.